This video explains the art of Bliss-Void union in Tibetan Esoteric Buddhism. The art of Bliss-Void union is based on the writings of Tsongkhapa, the founder of the Gelug school of Tibetan Buddhism. Bliss-Void union is the thought that bliss and emptiness are inseparable. It is not enough to meditate on emptiness alone or to meditate on bliss alone. But we should meditate on the union of emptiness and bliss. The subjective mind and emptiness beyond duality do not mix like milk and water. But through bliss, the mind can realize emptiness. And through bliss, the mind can strengthen the connection with emptiness. The word yab-yum is used to describe the bliss-void union. E represents emptiness. Va represents bliss. M represents drop, the product of bliss-void union. First, I will explain the emptiness of bliss-void union. Buddhism explains that things exist and dependence on other things. And it explains that all things are non-substantial. This is called dependent co-arising. In Tibetan Buddhism, there is the concept of wind, which is similar to prana. The winds are the vehicle of our mind, and the winds are attached and bound to people and things outside of you. And suffering comes from our dependence on things that are non-substantial and impermanent. Even after the death of the physical body, our mind is still caught in attachment, and we repeat reincarnation. First, various attachments must be broken. Then let the mind, or the wind, dissolve into the central channel, which is usually hollow. When the wind enters the central channel, the mind approaches emptiness, which transcends the duality of subjectivity and objectivity. And one becomes less attached to things. Next, I will explain the bliss of bliss-void union. When the wind dissolves in the central channel, the inner fire burns below the navel. The fire melts the white drop in the head, and the white drop, or amrita, drips down through the central channel. And through the drop, bliss is born. And through the bliss, the wind, or the mind, realizes emptiness. And the mind strengthens its connection with emptiness. Then, I will explain the practices for developing the bliss of bliss-void union. First, there are practices for meditating on the vital points of the body. The first vital point is the tip of the genitals. It is located below the central channel. Concentrate the mind on the tip of the genitals, which is located below the central channel. Then, the winds flowing in the left and right channels dissolve into the central channel. The second vital point is the point below the navel. There is the red drop below the navel. And that is where the inner fire burns. While breathing slowly, concentrate the mind below the navel. Then the winds flowing in the left and right channels dissolve into the central channel. In this way, the inner fire burns below the navel. The third vital point is in the center of the heart. In the center of the heart, the subtle mind from before birth lies in an inert state. Concentrate the Tibetan letter A in the heart. This causes the mind or wind to gather around the subtle mind in the heart. This brings the mind closer to emptiness. The next method of practice is the Vajra recitation. First, while chanting Om, inhale and imagine pushing the upper winds down to the center of your heart. Then, while chanting Ah, hold your breath and imagine holding the winds in the center of your heart. And, while chanting Hum, exhale and imagine pushing the lower winds up to the center of your heart. In this way, by continuing to chant the mantra with breathing through Vajra recitation, you gather the winds in the heart. In addition, by keeping the winds in the central channel through Vajra recitation, the inner fire below the navel is ignited. Besides these arts of meditating on the vital points in the body, there is also the art of contemplating sexual intercourse with the visualized consort. Sexual contemplation sustains the mental orgasm. Then, the inner fire burns below the navel. And the white drop in the head is melted. Through these arts, the wind enters the central channel. The inner fire burns below the navel. The fire melts the white drop in the head, and the white drop falls down through the central channel. And bliss is born. Through bliss, the wind or the mind can realize emptiness. Just as milk and water mix, the mind and emptiness mix. And when the mind completely dissolves into emptiness, you enter the clear light. And from there, you can create an immortal astral body called the rainbow body. And you will be liberated from rebirth.